Hello and welcome to Making Up the Magic. My name is Eva and this is my channel. And today we have a very unusual video that I'm not sure what to think of, but Liz Taylor is here and she's edging me on to do this video because of two things. Because there's not enough people talking about this, and that it's important to deal with trauma and to and to deal with abuse. I feel like we should talk about this, and there's no better way of talking about difficult things than to soften it with some makeup. She wants to talk about what's happening right now in the news, and it's probably going to trigger a lot of people. And that's one of the things that the media doesn't really talk about. They like to pretend that all of us who watch TV, we're far removed from any of this. And no one has ever had any issues relating to abuse or things like that. And no, it's not true. A lot of us have issues insofar as we have been abused in our lives, as children, as adults. And we're going to go through this with a good old-fashioned get ready with me. I'm going to be using this lovely little palette here from ColourPop, because I'm going to be doing Liz Taylor inspired makeup, and we're going to be talking shit. She's like, let's talk shit. Okay, Liz, let us talk shit. So I have not a stitch of makeup on. Now, if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing to my face, I recommend that you pull out one of my masterclass videos, because I'm not really going to talk about the makeup. I'm just going to talk about stuff. Liz and I, we're just going to blow through some of this stuff. So, first things first. There's a wonderful gentleman that, that Liz put on my, what's the word, on my path. I'll link the Twitter video that he put up. And he and his company produced a video about what's pretty current about right now about, our, in the news, the DDYs, because I don't want to mention his name on here. So they made and he gave a lot of information, especially regarding, people who have come forward with real experiences. And they made a movie based on that. So I'm going to link a link below to the movie in question. I don't remember the title, but that's fine. It's not important. You don't need to watch that. So, this is saying that the most difficult thing about trauma, and she knows she's been through a lot of trauma, is that when it happens to you, you're really young, usually, and you don't know what's happening. You haven't fully developed, and maybe you have no idea what just happened. And usually that's where a lot of the issues lie, because it does break your boundaries down, and you're not yourself anymore after that. It kind of screws you up. And she said it happened to me when I was a young girl and I was in Hollywood. The big bad wolves came after me because I was young. And they like them young for two reasons, she says. Most abusers like to abuse younger children, first because they're innocent, they don't know anything, and they're not going to report you because they're not even sure if they did something wrong or not. You know, when you're that young and you don't understand anything, no one's explained to you anything, then what are you going to say? Like, how, even in your own head, you know, you don't know what's happening. And that's what they want. You know, they want people who they can break. And especially in the movie industry, when they break you when you're really, really young, then you're like that baby elephant, you know, that's chained. But then later on, they just need to put a little rope around your foot so that you're compliant and, you know, you just do everything that they want because you've been hurt so badly when you're so vulnerable that later on you're easy to control. Actually, most of the time, it's what happens. You know, there's embarrassment. She says there's a lot of shame around, you know, being abused because no one talks about it. You know, no one tells children, you know, about the things that can go wrong. Yes, there's the stories about the big bad wolf. But, you know, I don't think a child completely understands what a big bad wolf is. Unfortunately, it is an issue in our society about what to do, you know, because they don't want to educate children, but, you know, they'd rather them listen to Disney and princesses and, you know, stuff like that than actually talk about the real danger that's out there. And now as a parent, it's really up to you what you want to tell your child and at what age. But obviously they're not doing it in school, she says. They're really not doing it because society just wants to keep enforcing this idea of, you know, it's okay, you know. It doesn't happen that often. Don't worry. It's not going to happen to you or your child. Or it's not, you know, it's so minimal, you know. But if you look at the statistics, they're not minimal. And the thing is, we need to create stories about what it means, you know, to be, what it means to be in this situation, like to actually, you know, actually live through something like that. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do because I think it's a societal issue and we need to, as a society, to figure out what needs to be done and how our children need to be educated and also how we need to be educated about the signs of, you know, abuse. And usually the problem is that we as adults come from abuse. There's just, you know, how can I say this? You know, I haven't suffered anything deep, and don't worry, I'm not going into detail. You know, mild bullying, you know, but still, you know, mild bullying is still a form of abuse. And when it happens when you're really, really young, is that you're kind of left with a scar. And then when someone else comes along and they push that button, you don't understand what's happening, but you're going into PTSD. You're going into whatever thing you didn't want to deal with, and now it's coming up. And that's why as adults, it's really, really hard to even know like what's happening, because we spend a lot of our lives, just running around, just trying to pay the rent, or trying to, take our children to school. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing a Liz Taylor inspired makeup. Not when she was young, because obviously I'm not that young anymore. But I kind of like this look. I'm going to put it up here. So this is the look that I'm doing. And I'm going to go with some lovely green here. Yeah, I like that. I like green. So yeah, so most of us were running around with our own PTSD, not knowing how, it's affecting us. And how can we realize that our child is being affected? We don't really know. And most parents, don't always communicate with their children, and they're not always available for them. And that's what Hollywood kind of wants you to do, They want you to live in the Disney fantasy princess, They want you to be, what's the word? They want you to be oblivious. They want you to not think about it. They want you to think about something else, but not that. And these people who are at the very top of whatever this is, they're the ones keeping all of the system running because it suits them. They don't want things to change. They don't want people to wake up and, see that things aren't going so well, And even now, with all of this happening, I think people don't realize how much in our society there are issues. We need to start thinking about it more often, even though it's not what you want to think about when you wake up in the morning. It's not what you want to deal with on a daily basis. We need to start thinking about it because more and more people, it's happening to more and more people. And what all of this that's happening right now with Mr. Let's call him Sean. That's his real name. Let's call him Sean. Mr. Sean. What's happening with Sean here is it's a media focused thing, and there's other people in the shadows doing just as nasty things as he did, allegedly. If he did those things, allegedly, then there's other people who are actually doing these things out of the public eye with the consent of parents, which is the most difficult thing to deal with, because these are the parents of the children that are giving them away for an exchange of money, of course, but still, they're giving them away. And who's going to report that? Who's going to say, oh, that child is missing, when it's the parents who themselves give the child away? And if you don't think this is true, if you don't think no one does that, no one could possibly be awful like that, there's a wonderful amazing human being called ANNEKE, I think. And I'll put the link down below to a playlist of her interviews. She's a Belgian woman, and this happened to her. Her parents sold her very own parents. How is that even possible? Probably because these people themselves were abused, and they don't mind doing that to their child because something similar was done to them. No one cared about them, so why would they care about their own children? I know this is looking maybe crazy. I don't know, I'm just following my inspiration. By the way, Liz and I, we don't have the same eyes, so I'm doing my best here. Where was I at? Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna tell you that, if you ever want to watch, Rosemary's Baby or the other movie about basically the same subject, if you don't want to watch that, I want you to think about these people and what they're doing, because they're operating from a place where they're desecrating things. It's nothing to do, they're taking what we hold valuable, what we see as important, and they just crush it. They turn the smile upside down. That's what they do. They can't create something that's pure evil outside of the context of what good is. So they take these good things, these things that we value, like love, friendship, loyalty. They take that and then they desecrate it. It's just as simple as that. There's nothing, it's not like they're inventing something. It's not like they even take something like the cross and they turn it upside down, because it's all about desecration, and they don't really care about anything else. They just want to take what people value and turn it into something negative, And I'm going to bet that if the allegations are true, and if he's convicted, of course, the burden can be made that all of these accusations are true. He doesn't even really want to sleep with these men, Mr. Sean. It's not about that. It's just about doing something that's seen as a desecration. I've had a lot of gay friends. This is both of us speaking. And gay people aren't evil, or, they're not anything that they're painted to be most of the time. There are evil people in this world. Trust me, there are. I've seen them. We've seen them. They're just trying to take everything and turn it into evil, Love, they're trying to turn it into evil. Religions, convictions, they want you to think that the moment that you have an opinion about something, it's wrong. You should have no opinion. You should not have any opinions, in fact. The only opinions you should have is the opinions that they're telling you to have. That's what they want. They want to break us so much, break our society so much, that we don't think anything anymore, that we don't have any values anymore. And I'm not talking here about traditional Christian values or religious values, or I'm just saying values, like honesty, like love, like kindness, like compassion. These are the real values that I'm talking about, that these people are trying to stamp out. And when I say these people, I'm really talking about, and that's Hollywood, in part, because that's how, we get to have people, controlling us, because what we want, they want to change the way we think about everything, what's important to us. Like, why was Mr. Sean, allegedly, if he did all these things he did, why was he able to get away with them? Because he was selling the dream. And not any dream. He was selling the dream that everyone wants, the dream that's being sold to you when you watch, a movie or a commercial or a rap song. And it's much more rap songs and a lot of this music, and it's nothing against, again, the artists, because it's so easy to say, oh, it's Snoop Dogg's fault because he's a bad person. No. That's not what I'm saying here. Eminem, Snoop Dogg, yes, they talk about this culture of consumerism and success and, sleeping with a lot of women. But I think most of them, beyond whatever you think, they're doing or not doing, they're promoting a certain honesty and a certain dignity. And, a lot of this music also is about rights, about the rights of Black people and the rights of, people who were treated like crap. I agree with talking about the fact that you're poor and you need to fight to get out of the ghetto, get out of the bad neighborhood, get out of the bad school, get out of the bad relationship. Now that I absolutely agree with. And you can talk about that because that's inspirational. You can talk how you had to go and dance for men to make money because that was the only road to get out of where you were. Because that's the truth. It's not, I don't think it's glamming up this. And I don't think people are going to go and do it. Some people are crazy enough to do it, but that's a different thing. That's their own, that's a different kind of person that's going to go for that. But at the same time, they are propagating some of these issues, what does it mean, to be poor and have to do things that are morally difficult. So just to let you know, I corrected a few things because I was raving a little bit. We were raving a little bit. And now what we want you to know is that there are people out there who are telling their stories of what happened to them. And I'm just going to say something terrible that you might not want to hear, is that this happens way more often. And it's not just extreme cases, like really, really. And there's another woman on here who talks about it, and we kind of forget who she is. It's Teal Swan. I think by now people have forgotten her origin story, but it is something just as bad as ANNEKE. I mean, being exploited and being, opened up. So I'm already pretty flushed because I'm really, this is intense stuff happening here. So the thing is, we all know there's a movie, there's a movie by Roman Polanski called Rosemary's Baby. And he did make that movie after being accused of you know what. And the people who wanted him out, he knew very well how they operated and all those things. And the thing about abuse, it's a horrible thing because you're cracked open when you're not supposed to be cracked open. Abuse really opens you up to being taken advantage of. It's just such a weird thing to say, that when people crack your sense of self, because as a child, your sense of self is very tenuous and you don't have it. You understand who you are, but you need other people to reflect it back to you. And when people are not reflecting the right thing back to you, they're sending you an image that you are shameful and that you shouldn't exist and that you're, whatever it is that they've decided to make you feel when you've been cracked open like that. And that's why, they've done it on people like Britney Spears, Justin Bieber. They've cracked these people open, and just like Liz Taylor is saying, I was cracked open too. I was made to give. I was turned into something. I lost my sense of self, and then you lose your boundaries, and often in therapy work there is that talk of boundaries. What is the boundary? Is someone crossing a boundary? How do you get your boundaries back? Because usually this is what is difficult for a lot of people, is how to get their sense of self. And a sense of self is boundaries. It's saying, wait a minute, that idea, it's not mine, it's yours. That's not my thought, that's your thought. And when, these people talk about mind control and all that bullshit, it's about that, because at some point you give up your desire to be you, because someone breaks you and tells you that being you is shameful. And look at you, look at what you've done, and look at what kind of a bad person you are because you let this happen or that happen, or you let someone abuse you. And that's kind of, they make you feel like it's like your fault. You brought this onto you because you're the way you are. And, it's always that kind of I can't speak, rhetoric. It's just always your fault. It's never someone else's fault. It's always you. You brought this on. So if someone's making you think that way, they're breaking your boundaries and they're abusing you. So it doesn't matter whether you were 5 when they did it, although it makes you much more vulnerable if you were 5 when they did it to you, or if you're 25, it's the same thing. It's really, really the same thing. You're just being turned into something to be controlled. And ultimately, Abuse is a way of controlling people and of manipulating them. So if someone's doing that to you, then you should quickly realize that you're opening yourself up to that. And it's very insidious. And if someone's done it to you when you're young, and then, they come back as an adult and they do it to you, that reopens that door and that portal. And, you're kind of reliving a nightmare. You didn't realize it, but you are. So, what to do? Because I'm going to go back to Rosemary's Baby. Because that's, how can I say that? That's a very important movie that Mr. Polanski left us. Very important. Because it tells you exactly what is happening. Oh my God, I'm having a bout of rosacea because talking about this really flares me up. So, these people who, whether you want to believe it or not, they're at the top. And they're pulling strings, deciding what we listen to, what we think is normal life, what we want as a normal life. It's in their interest to keep us, thinking what we're thinking. What I find fascinating about ANNEKE's story, and I heard her talk about this only once, is that, she talks about how she was, turned into sort of a psychic person by being plunged into water and all those things. And whether you want to believe it or not, trauma, when you're going through something very difficult, and it's funny, you see that in a lot of movies, people, the sixth sense, the sixth sense, I'm going to say it properly. The sixth sense comes along when you most need it. And when you most need it is when you're in danger. And there's recently there's been a lot of movies where you see children being abused. And one of them is The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke. This child is kidnapped by the man, and he's a serial killer basically, and he's put in the garage. And this, by the way, rarely happens. Like, it doesn't happen very often. He's there and he wants out. He knows he's not going to survive this. And he starts having visions. And this is one of the things that can happen when you're under abuse. And, it's a very constant and overwhelming abuse, is you can develop psychic gifts. You can have these intuitions, these premonitions that happen to you because they're a way of protecting yourself. And if you, if you want to, you're wondering why, after being abused, you have these issues with, with visions or things like that. It's simply because, you've been put through a ringer and you need to kind of wake up. Now, my visions didn't happen because of that. But, when I was a child, I definitely did not feel safe. And I think a lot of my psychic abilities come from that. So, these people who are up there, they know all of this. Like, they know that people are fragile, and they know things about us that we don't even know, because this knowledge is really old knowledge, very old knowledge. So people talk about these religions, like Kabal, they talk about the Freemasons, they talk about all of this knowledge. The thing is, with that knowledge, it's not bad knowledge. It's just, again, like I was saying, there are people out there who want to desecrate things. It's like the atomic bomb. We know how atoms work. We know how to split an atom. You can use it to make energy, or you can use it to make a bomb. All this stuff that these people know is not inherently bad. Knowledge is not inherently bad. It's just there's people in there who want to make us suffer. That's just it. That's just how it is. And whether you want to believe that it's true or not, whether you think, there's a cabal out there, or there's people out there who are nefarious. And you know what? If I was you, I wouldn't want to think about it either. Like, I wouldn't want to think about there's people out there who want to turn me into some sort of, worker zombie or whatever it is. I don't want to think about it. But the truth is, we're doing this to people. We're doing this to ourselves. And, we consider it normal, what we're doing in our society. When in fact, it's not normal at all. Like, we're not supposed to be unhappy. We're not supposed to be doing jobs that, are demeaning or sad, or unfortunately, a lot of people are doing things and doing working jobs that make them unhappy. Not because the jobs themselves are bad. It's never been about that. But it's the attitude that people have when they're, working or doing things. Why are we encouraging people to be so deeply unhappy? And why is trauma not being taken care of? Why do we not care what people are feeling or why they're feeling it? Because it's our responsibility as a society to heal ourselves. And we're not going to heal ourselves through more trauma, through more whatever it is that the society is giving us more. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't see it happening either. I don't see how we can save ourselves, And I just wish, this sense of despair that a lot of people are having right now, because we don't know where this is going. We don't know where things are going to be landing or not landing, or this is what we're kind of left with, this idea of, fight or flight, how to be, a good person. I'm really trying to do these two things at the same time, and it feels like I'm rambling. But I actually had to listen back to myself, and it's not too bad actually. I'm happy. I'm happy with what's coming out of my mouth. I think right now, for me, what seeing what's happened, with these allegations, and I think how it shook me, because I've been watching this kind of obsessively, that this is an okay thing, that it's okay to go to someone's party when you're underage. It's to educate the parents, but some parents are just lost, Some parents are, as I've seen with some of these stories of people being sold off by their own parents, that at least if we can't reach the parents, we can reach the children, and we can reach young adults and make them realize, this is not the way to go. This is not. Why do people want to be, stars? Like, what inherently makes them want to be something so empty, because it is empty. I'm sorry to say and this is Liz saying, it's very empty. It's very empty being a star. You think the money and all of that will make you happy. The money never makes you happy. The money just makes you sad. The money just makes you sad. And money never made anyone happy. And if you don't believe me, it's fine. You might want to discover this for yourself. But, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you're chasing something because you think the money's going to be amazing and it's going to make you happy, think again. Or doing 80s lips, taking a break from this. We're doing sort of heart-shaped lips, because I love to overdraw my lips. And we're going to do red lips, because that's Liz. And you know what? I can get away with an eye and a lip. Oh, I love overlining my lips. So we're taking a break from all that heaviness to entertain ourselves. And that's what entertainment should be. Should be something that makes you uplifted, that gives you hope, I'm just going to blend this. I'm not sure that whatever they're serving right now is really what we want to see. I think what I want to see in Hollywood is the actual life, I'm using two different pencils. This is an eye pencil. It's a very neutral color, because there's a lot of light coming through this camera. So I want to make my lips, when I'm going to put the red, it's going to make them look brilliant. I just want to get a nice red. I'll be right back. Beautiful. This is really exciting. I'm just concentrating on this. I think it's easier to talk while you're doing your base, your lips. My God, I can't talk. Just gonna apply a lot. Liz loved lipstick. She always had some kind of lipstick on. Oof, I like that. A nice, glamorous red lip. I'm overdrawing that one. There's a touch here. I love a good 80s makeup. She's like, you have huge lips. I love it. Well, they're not that huge, but when I overdraw them, I love them. Okay, so I'm just going to blot this with a tissue. I'm looking for a tissue, an old tissue. Here. Yeah. So overdrawn lips. I love a good overdrawn lip. I love this lip. Thank you, Liz. She's encouraging. She encouraged me. Oh my God, I can't speak. So if you have gone through abuse and you want to take yourself out of, you want to diminish the PTSD. So this is what I found for myself. And we're really going to do the brow, the eyebrow. It's stronger like this. Yoga. What happens usually during trauma is we disconnect from our bodies, especially if you've had any sort of physical abuse done to you. If you've had people physically make you feel unwell, that is in your body, and you need to clear it out of your body. And one of the best ways to do that is really yoga, dance, move your body, be in your body, anything that forces you to be present with your body. Because what happens when there's trauma and there's abuse is we dissociate from our bodies, and we go, and we say we go into our head, but what actually happens is that we remove ourselves from the lower parts of the body, especially if there's been anything in the lower parts of your body that were affected by the trauma. Then you need to settle that. You need to work that through. And it's not instant. I like to tell you that, you just do 5 sessions of yoga and you're going to be fine. You won't. It's, for me, the abuse, because my abuse, it's not from this life, it's from another lifetime that involves Hollywood, but it does involve Hollywood. I was an actress in Hollywood, and that's how I know Liz. I did go through something traumatic in Hollywood, and that's why I'm very fascinated by this, because I know that there is truth in what's being revealed, whether it involves Mr. Sean or it doesn't involve him is inconsequential. Because if you think this one person, if allegedly they did everything that these victims claim that they did, then who else is involved? Who else is doing this undercover? And like I said, there's other people doing it that are not famous, that will never have the spotlight shine on them like this, and they can still get away with it. So if you know anyone, or if you yourself are a victim, then just work through it. It's not an instant thing. And the other thing is to turn whatever happened to you into something. It's called transmutation. So if you write, or if you paint, or if you create things, you can even cook. You can cook yourself out of trauma, and you can cook yourself out of pain. You can sew, you can knit, you can do all these things to release what you've accumulated in your body. And that is something I've personally been working on, releasing the trauma and the pain, because they are there. They are there. And there's no way you're going to be able to fully come out of it unless you consciously work with the trauma. There's no way. And it's a process. Definitely a process. And if there's no one around you that you can talk to or say anything about it, write it down below in the comments, say your story. But the other thing that's really hard is don't become the victim. Don't keep writing yourself in the story as the victim, because that keeps you open and keeps your boundaries open and keeps other people coming in and taking advantage of you and abusing you more. And you just keep, floating in that cycle, and you don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to finish out this dramatic look. This very dramatic look. With some black, because black is the color that, so I'm just stamping some out to prevent fallout, and I'm just going to blend that in here like that, just on the outside and down here like that. Ooh, I love black. If you're afraid with black, just stamp some out like this. It should prevent it from falling. Sorry, black has given me a bit of PTSD in the past, so I'm just going to very gently. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Like that. Like that. I love green, because I didn't mention it at the beginning of this video, but Liz had purple gray eyes, and she would make them up purpley gray. And my eyes are dark green, so I'm just going to do the same. It's going to bring out the green in my eyes. I'm using a pencil brush. Just want to blend that crease slowly. Oof. So 80s. I'm gonna bring it under. Just right here on the outside. A nice black. And I'm gonna take a fluffy brush. I'm gonna just blend the crease here. I'm using a taupe color, a taupe green, beige taupe. I'm just gonna contour that into my eyebrow and bring it down the sides here. Oof, that's really intense, but you know, we were talking about very intense things here. I'm gonna take a Q-tip and I'm just gonna soften all of that there. Just soften it. I love a good Q-tip moment. Take some off. Just smoothest blending sometimes is with Q-tips. Cotton buds. Sorry. Hey bud, give me that cotton bud. So whatever's left, just gonna blend that here. Did I need anything else? Oh yeah, I wanted to blend that, but I want a big fluffy brush to blend that. Just like smudge it in the brush like that. Yeah. Oof, I love that. So dramatic. Same here, just gonna softly blend it, smoke it. And I'm gonna finish a little bit of mascara because I'm not gonna put on the false lashes because really I'm not feeling like putting on false lashes just for a second. And I know you guys don't really care. Yeah, that's fine. I like it that you don't care. You know, mascara on the bottom. Unfortunately, I don't have Liz's 3 rows of eyelashes. Natural lash extensions. This is my favorite mascara because it doesn't bleed, especially when you put it down here. Stays put. Ooh, mascara. Intense eyes. Yeah, so I'm just short of... Today is the 1st of November, in case you're wondering. So right after Halloween, right after all the nasty's gone, All Saints, we're all sainting here. So I hope you enjoy this very intense look. I mean, I could go blacker, but you know what? I kind of like this. And of course, with my face, everything always ends up looking 70s, you know, just 70s. Take these out. Oh, yeah, there you go. Sorry, Liz, I don't look anything like you. I mean, sort of. I can see why you wanted me to do the look on you, because I can do a strong eye and a strong lip. But there you go. Oh, and a bit of gloss. I like a touch of gloss. So there you go. I think, you know, I've done a lot of work on myself, and I still have a lot of work to do to overcome a lot of this trauma. And if we're mindful and if we can really heal ourselves and help other people heal, I think as a society, we won't be as broken. Because if you've been listening to anything that I've said right now, that's how we get controlled. That's how we are unsure of ourselves. That's why they can put ideas in our minds and make us feel things that we don't feel for real, because we've been broken down by the system. And unfortunately, that's how the system works. Abuse breaks people down, and we become easier to manipulate because we don't have boundaries and we don't have a sense of self. We don't know why we're getting angry or what's making us angry. And we feel crazy because we've all been broken down in one way or another, some of us more than others. And sometimes the good thing about having had abuse, whether it's mild or intense, is that you're forced to put yourself back together if you want your life to be decent. And I'm saying decent because it's hard to really put everything back together, like Humpty Dumpty. You can put yourself back together, but it's never going to be before the before. You're never going to be before. And you have to accept this new you that's coming out of the ashes. And that's why we have a beautiful metaphor, like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, because that way we can become someone new. And you should never let anyone tell you who you should become or what you should become. Never let anyone else limit you into what you want to be or where you want to go. And I know it's really hard because we live in a society and we have other people and we count on other people. But if you've been victim of abuse, then you definitely need to find out who you are, really deep down, not the survival you that you created to function. But you need to find out who you really are. And that's why people like Teal Swan, myself, I'm saying Liz Taylor, Joan Crawford, people who've had abuse done to them as children. And when you see them in their mature years, they're just such captivating people because they had to go down there and find who they are. And forget about the innocence you've lost. If you're an innocent person, you'll find it. It'll be there. And if you feel like you've lost something, then just mourn whatever you feel you've lost and move on. Try to move on every day. Find a physical activity, running, cooking, painting, writing, something where you can focus that sadness and that grief. Because that's what stops us from going forward. That's what stops us from becoming the grief and the sadness and the trauma. It keeps us locked in, keeps us open. Okay, so I hope this finds you well. And I know I'm not going to fix everyone's problems with this video. I just want to put it out there. I just want to have someone talking about this. And if it helps you, if you want to write something down there for us to read it, for me, for other people to read it, then you're welcome to. And remember, you're the best person to save yourself, because it's all about knowing who you are and going in there and finding the knowledge of who you are. And that only belongs to you. I can't tell you. Someone else can't tell you. We can help you. People around you can help you reflect back to you what you're projecting. But then it's up to you.